Yeah, I would be audible now on OBS as well, and big blue button. Mm, okay, this is fine. Okay, yeah. So hey everyone, welcome to the second talk of FOSS Hack 2021. Thank you for joining us, either from Big Blue Button or YouTube Live. So, FOSS Hack is just 1 week away. It's happening on 13th, 14th November, coming Saturday and Sunday. So, yesterday we had Praveen, Pirate Praveen, who talked about free software activism. We also had a lightning talk today. Now we have Vishal Nehra. Uh, so I'll ask Kaustuv to introduce Vishal, and later Vishal will actually start his presentation. Thank you, Vishal and Kaustuv. I'll go on.
Hey
You are
Vishal,
now
thanks.
muted.
So we have with us Vishal Nehra. Vishal is the creator of the Amaze File Manager project for Android. He's a tech enthusiast with experience in web development. He also has a vibrant life outside of writing code. You can find him working on new beats and composing music on his guitar and keyboard. He started the Amaze File project in about 2013. So he's been in the open source world for quite some time. So in this talk, he'll be sharing his experience in open source development as an Android developer, how Android came out on top, the importance of app developers in building of an operating system, his own journey being an open source application developer, and the challenges one can face being an open source mobile application developer, and how to tackle them. Vishal.
Thanks, Kaustubh. Hi, guys. Yeah, so about me, yeah, the Kaustubh already told. I've been working on Amaze File Manager for around 6, 7 years now. So today I'll be talking about Amaze as well as I will be talking about the Android ecosystem in general, the open source platform, and the challenges you will be facing as an open source developer once you start to grow in user base and you start to have large number of downloads. So hopefully we'll be able to cover all of them today. Let me share my screen. Okay, are you guys able to see the screen?
You are now unmuted.
Yeah.
Are we good to start or should we wait?
You are now muted. You are now unmuted. You are now muted.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, agenda for today. I will be initially talking about the initial days into the mobile ecosystem and how the market was congested from with multiple operating systems in the scene and how Android came out on the top and then why open source applications. I mean, open source operating system is fine, but actually presenting an open source product, actually presenting a product as an open source, why to do that? The key challenging areas you might be able to face. You might face when you decide to make your application open source, how to tackle them, and yeah, finally the conclusion. Okay, starting with the initial days of Android, I think this was somewhere around 2007 to 2008. Yeah, during that time, there were many market players in the mobile operating system scene. So first of all, like why mobile? Why what's special in mobile? I mean, if we talk about today's date, mobile is like an integral part of everyone's life. I'm pretty sure. I looked at the numbers before coming here, and they were pretty astonishing. Each day, average person is using their mobile for around 5 hours in India. So that's astounding number. I mean, people won't even be. It's not their day job, not even their day job. This is, and still they're using something for that much time. So yeah, but how it all started, how it gained traction into everyone's personal life. So it all started with like I'm pretty sure many of you have already would have used early day Nokia mobile phones. They had Symbian operating system installed upon them. So the specialty of the OS, it was really good operating system. So basically, Symbian was a kernel. Basically, it was a kernel, and how it was distributed is manufacturers would use that kernel and design UX and applications on top of that kernel and present the operating system as their own uh, platform for them. So basically, Nokia had a different version called Series 60, I think, and then Ericsson had a different one. Again, that gave each manufacturer freedom to present their own UX to users. Again, Symbian as an OS was pretty good. I mean, its battery backup was really good, and its theme system was really good. I'm sure pretty much a lot of you would have used Nokia Symbian systems. The theme system in it was pretty good. But why it failed? Why we are not seeing it around these days? Why did it fail? So part of it was poor performance. The devices were buggy. They were laggy, and there were very less animations, and that actually resulted in showing the lag even more, even if it was not there. Uh, Unsatisfactory app availability. So this was pretty much the biggest downside of this operating system. Like I said, each manufacturer would present their own UX on top of the Symbian kernel. So that resulted in one application developed for a specific manufacturer, say Nokia, would not be able to run on another manufacturer, say Ericsson. So Nokia device app will not be able to run on Ericsson devices. So even after 7 years into the scene, they had around 10-15,000 of applications only. So there was very less user engagement because of that. Again, another limiting factor was no app store. These days we have Google Play Store, we have Apple Store, but in the Symbian operating system there was no central app store. So it was really difficult for developers to actually generate revenue uh, out of out of the out of their apps. There were third-party websites which where the developers could publish their apps on, but yeah, again, it was not official, and yeah, it was not maintained as well. So somewhere around 2012, they released their final version, and yeah, we are not seeing Symbian devices anymore. Moving on to Windows Phone. Now I'm pretty sure many of you would have seen or used Windows Phone. At least when I first time used Windows Phone, I was pretty astonished by the user experience, the UI it presented. It was even to this day, if you give me a Windows Phone, I would be interested in using it because the UI was pretty different. It was unique. The notification system was unique. The launchers were unique. It was just fascinating to use that device at that time, especially when Android was in its early days. This Windows Phone would make Android seem like 100 years old technology at that time. Its keyboard was better, and again the cameras on Nokia and Windows Phone were, I don't even need to talk about it. They were really, really good. They were out of their time. So why we are not seeing Windows, even the Windows Phone these days? Why did they fail? So the software was, as we all know, Microsoft. Windows Phone, the software was proprietary, the OS was proprietary. That led to very less innovation, and that led to increasing the cost of the devices. Again, manufacturer would have to pay royalty fees to Microsoft to put that operating system into their devices. I mean, if you could get an Android system with Android device with same specs and features, but with half the price, then why choose Windows Phone? Again, now the biggest limiting factor, the final nail in the coffin, was the limited app availability. Basically, Google decided, due to some reason, maybe they didn't want Windows Phone to come up, or because of less number of users, Google decided to not release their apps on Windows phones at all. So they abandoned Windows Phone. They didn't have YouTube, they didn't have Gmail, they didn't have Chrome on Windows Phone for quite some time. And yeah, final reason might be they were pretty late to the market. By that time, iOS and Android were already pretty famous. Now, if you present a solution to someone, you should have something out of box. If you are coming in late, they were late, given they were late, but they didn't have anything out. They were closed source. Their devices were costly. So yeah, everything went against them, and I think their final version came out in 2016, and they ended the support for Windows Phone in 2019. Any questions so far? Anyone want to share their experience with Symbian or Windows Phone?
We
You are
have a
now
question on
unmuted.
YouTube Live. Why is Android
Uh-huh.
successful?
Okay.
You are
Okay,
now
that's the
muted.
upcoming slide. I'll be covering in the next one.
Cool.
So one of the things I noticed the most in the difference between the Symbian OS and the Android apps was that there wasn't an app store. Like we can get any kind of apps today, but
Mm-hmm.
but previously they just shipped with some apps and we had to live with that. So
Mm-hmm.
was there any like, are you aware if was there any technical reason that they could not do it, or was it simply because they didn't think of it?
For the Symbian phones, you mean?
Yeah, even
I
for Android.
for
Even,
Android,
even
I
it was.
mhm. For Android, I mean the App Store was there from the go, from the early 2.0 Android days. So I don't think Android ever faced that issue. Just I think with Symbian, they did end up giving an App Store. I mean, it was OV, something called OV Store, and they came up in like 2010 or something, but it was already too late. Why didn't they came up with it from the get-go? I mean, that even I'm not sure why they didn't do that. Should have done that.
Thanks for
Yeah,
answering.
no issues. Okay, so yeah, rise of Android. So one thing led to another, and then I mean, Android, as we all know, Andy Rubin started working on Android, I think in 2003 or 4. So yeah, by 2005, Google acquired uh, Andy Rubin's company, and then they started working with Google on the Android platform. So in November 2007, companies like Google, HTC, Samsung, Qualcomm, Motorola, these companies came up with an open handset alliance, and with quote unquote the first truly comprehensive platform for mobile devices. And the result of it was AOSP, called Android Open Source Project, which was first released in 2008. The first release came with a device called HTC Dream. The idea was the user space softwares were licensed under Apache license, and kernel were licensed under GNU GPL. Again, what different did Android give from the existing operating systems? Was that since it was an open source operating system, there were no royalties. Companies, manufacturers wouldn't have to pay a royalty to the operating system company. So their devices were fairly less. Their devices were very less. Uh, they had very less lower prices, and revenue generation was easy from the get-go. Android have had their app store uh, where developers could easily distribute apps to all the users. Factor was faster updates, as we all know. Android was pretty quick to the updates from the get-go. So even now, the Android, we receive beta updates and a final version of Android year. So the updates and support was pretty good. And what increased the engagement for users in Android was the Nexus series of devices. Initially, Google partnered with many manufacturers to release Android on their devices and called it the Nexus series of devices. So basically, it was a stock Android. Users will be able to were able to enjoy faster updates and near stock Android experience on those devices. So it really helped gain traction for Android. Again, for developers, the good thing was the developer docs were really detailed. There was support for Java, C using JNI, and there now support for Kotlin as well, Kotlin native, Kotlin. So yeah, for developers as well, it was the platform was really well to develop upon. So as you can see, it really gained traction in around 2010 Q2, and now we have around 72% of market share for just for Android and 28% for iOS. Okay, so yeah, open source operating system is one thing then, but why open source applications? I mean, people as per the revenue generation model, people want to generate revenue as soon as possible, and they would want, why would they want to make the product open source? So by now we know that, yeah, the mobile engagement is like uh, a lot. So a lot of users are using mobile devices in the major part of their life. So that has its own problems. Their privacy, they have concerns of their privacy, their data is being sold. They are seeing more and more ads there because of that. So it's really, this concern is really growing day by day. And even for the apps that promise to be end-to-end encrypted, they have some form of backdoor which will make private data of user vulnerable to someone outside the system. So open source, I feel, is now most important than ever with the growing number of users using the mobile devices. If I talk about my back started out in but then again it would display a lot of users, and later it was even reported that ES File Explorer was actually stealing data, uh, actually selling data, sorry, to many of the. So yeah, it's developing an open source mobile application has really been important these days now. Okay, so now okay, now you have decided to work on an open source mobile application, but now what? Where to go? What are the challenges you might face, and how to tackle them? So I have divided the challenges in two parts. One is development challenges and one is user support. So after a user has downloaded your open source application, what you can do to stand out from the competition, closed source competition. So starting with the development part, I have, first of all, you have to study the market. I mean, that comes up. That is the product you start working upon. Study the market, see the market. If there is already a solution, what different can you provide? Open source, providing an open source application is one thing, but your whole selling point cannot be just an open source application. You have to give something different, and again, study the market, see if already an open source application in that space, then it's going to be even challenging for you to stand out. Yeah. Okay. Now the next part is deciding the license. I mean, I will not take much time in here. Many people would already be knowing about the open source licenses, and so I'll just briefly sum it up. So in the OSI model, all these licenses, and I think the most restrictive one is GPL1, and least restrictive one here can be Apache. And so each license has its own use case. It totally depends upon what you are going to offer in your application. So say if you are developing a mobile application, pure product application, then I think a GPL license would be better, because you would not want anyone to to take your software and just change a few things, make it closed source, and just get away with it. You wouldn't want that. So GPL will not allow to your application to be used by proprietary or closed source projects. But if you are, say, offering a library uh, or a framework that developers will be able to use in their developers or companies will be able to use in their software, then I think the Apache one is the best. So it actually allows your project to be used by the proprietary or closed source projects. Yeah.
Hey, hi, Vishal. We have a question from Anand.
Mhm.
Uh, he asks, is there a scope of monetization in open source apps or another way by which the development can be supported? Anything that you've seen so far or anything that you tried which worked?
Actually, if I come to the key challenges, I have saved the best for the last. Revenue generation is going to come up in upcoming slides. And yeah, few of the most important things I have saved to the last. I guess I'll just keep increase my pace and get to the interesting stuff quickly. Is that fine, Anand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Okay, so moving on, choosing the source code distribution platform. Actually, that's now that you have decided, okay, which license I have chosen the license, I have chosen the market, the product that I want to work upon. Now, what source code where do I distribute my source code? It can be an important factor because that is the platform where you will be maintaining your source code. So you would actually want it to be less hassle and so that your code is easily maintainable. So while deciding for the platform, you would want the platform to support private repositories. You would want it to support issues, PRs, release management. Uh, you are easily able to handle the issues. You are able to label them, label each issue to a different, to a specific one so that it's easier to filter. You are able to start reviews on PRs. You are able to manage your releases, manage your milestones, and CI/CD automation. You are able to define an automation pipeline to your project. Uh, you are able to define secrets and environment variables to your repository because even if your code is open source, there are certain aspects of project which you cannot make open source. So yeah, secret management, APIs and webhooks, whether the platform has APIs in case you want to have your own solution for something. Say you want to create an automation for creating an issues, or say webhooks. Say if some user comments somewhere in issue, you receive a notification somewhere. And client apps, whether the platform has applications for mobile devices or for different operating systems. So these three are the biggest market players: Bitbucket, GitHub, and GitLab. And I think GitLab was pretty good with the initial days. It actually depends upon what you are offering. My personal preference was these days is GitHub. GitLab is also a good alternative. It has a really good really good support for pipeline. We can define our release management. Uh, if we have, say, a microservice or website, we can actually define a pipeline that will deploy our application automatically, create Docker images. It can interact with uh, cloud solutions. The same can be done in GitHub. Bitbucket is, as far as I have seen, mostly used by companies and organizations. Yeah, accepting contributions. This is one of the major parts in developing an open source application. So now you have decided that which platform you want to distribute your code upon. Next step is to making it easier for the people to contribute to your code. One of the key aspects of making it open source was so that many people can come up and contribute to your software. So yeah, the first place to start would be to marking your issues as good first issue. There actually are websites that actually go through each repository and look for the good first issues, and people actually would like to work upon them. Doing that, actually people don't want to get in touch with developers and asking that what I can work upon. They can just see the good first issues labels and just start working upon them. Now, one of the major areas for accepting contribution is like the code quality, maintaining the code quality. If during the initial days I faced this a lot, the quality really starts to take a hit if you don't keep it in check from the get-go. So your project should have you should have static code analysis analytic tools as well as inspection tools part of the pipeline, so that if someone is a PR, it should be checked for formatting as well as it should be checked for any other code inspection tools issues. So I do have a recommendation. So I would recommend to use formatter tools like Spotless. For me personally, for Amaze, Spotless has been really good. It not only provides a feedback for wrong formatting, it actually helps to fix the formatting as well. So if I want to demo here, so say I have these line number 191, 96, 97, 98. So these are not readable at all. These are going. So we should have a maximum length that can come in a line. So we would want to format this. So this Spotless has a task that it provides, which can actually help to check that whether the formatting is correct or not. Spotless even has a functionality where we can provide our licenses on the top of the file. We will not have to write these manually. I mean, if you create a new file, developers are really lazy, so we don't want to like manually copy paste these licenses. So this Spotless provides a functionality where it will paste your license automatically on top of files, as well as it will format all the code as per the rules defined. So this command will just check that whether the formatting is correct or not. So this can be a part of your pipeline, but if you want to fix this formatting as well, so Spotless has a task for that as well. Now it supports many languages right now. We are using it for Java and Kotlin. See, it is actually giving me an error, and it is telling me that these are all the places where the formatting is not correct. So I can actually use Spotless apply, and it will automatically fix the formatting for these lines. as well as it will generate the license on top of each file in the once it is done, I will show. So yeah, like I said, it should be part of the pipeline. Again, your distribution platform should support pipeline, running the pipeline, and in on GitHub we can define them in workflows. So our part of pipeline has check for spotless. If I open a random PR, you will be able to see that these are all the steps, and static code analysis is a part of the pipeline. Okay, yeah, as you can see, it's automatically fixed the formatting for us. Again, we can customize it however we want. We can provide our own rules. And the second part, the inspection tools. I mean, one of the best part of being open source is we can have many offerings which are actually paid for closed source softwares, but that are actually free for open source software. So for inspection, I am sure many of us would have heard about SonarQube and all that. I actually use Codacy for our project. So this, even if it is a uh, paid product, but yeah, it is free for open source products. So why not? I mean, so if I pick a random PR, it actually runs on this pipeline, and it will give me the issues with the PR. Say that if the file name is not as per the guidelines, or if the method is too large, or the variables are not correctly named. This tool will give the issues with the PR, and the contributor will have to fix them. Yeah, as well as the software provides a way to it has support for webhooks as well as code coverage. So how much line of codes are being uh, covered by your test cases. Yeah. Okay, so part of accepting contribution, your issues should be marked with issues. Issues should have a detailed information what is expected about from that issue and what is not expected. Your PR should have mandatory approvers. Your project should have integration tests, unit tests for most important flows in your application. So if and when your project starts to gain traction, it should have these things in place. Otherwise, yeah, it will really start getting out of hand, and yeah. Okay, I will be moving upon user support. I am done with the development part. Anyone has any question so far?
You are now unmuted.
Oh, is it? I see. Sure, yeah.
You are now muted.
Yeah, user support. I mean, this is the most important part when we are working on an application, how well we support the user after user downloads our application. I mean, most famous applications, most famous closed source application, they lose their user base because of these because they might not have a better after sales support, you can say. Again, so open source is generally known to have like very slow updates and lots of bugs, but we should work on tackling them, and we should have proper planning and features in line with the competition. I mean, if a competition, closed source competition come up with a new feature, we should also work upon, yeah, look for those. Now, supporting multiple platforms. Again, the Android is like, sorry, Android is present on like many different platforms, Android TV, tablets, and Android Wear. So our application, if we are offering it, we should offer it on all these platforms. Now, it's not a liability. It's an opportunity per se, because TV and VR has very less applications. So if we are presenting our application on those platforms, it's actually an opportunity for us, for our application to grow. Again, we should also support multiple trans languages, and we have a platform that actually provides, allows open source products to have free services to translate into different languages. One service is Transifex that we are using for Amaze. We have around 20 language support on that. Okay, okay. So this I feel is the most important aspect if in the after sales support, but the crash reporting. Okay, so even the best of the softwares are bound to have some sort of crash or bugs. Now, it really depends on how your software behaves after a user faces a crash. So one of the ways is to crash the application and just throw into the face of the user that, okay, the application has stopped working. That really gives a bad impression. Another issue is that being an open source product, Play Store crash reporting is really slow. I mean, even if a user right now tells me that, okay, your app is crashing on this part, but the Play Store crash report will not show me that crash for like say 2 to 3 hours. So I will have to. I'm really hopeless for getting the crash from the. Now there are a lot of closed source offerings. One of them is Crashlytics. I'm sure that a lot of you would have heard. Again, the Crashlytics is closed source, so we cannot really use it in our open source products. So we at Amaze came up with an automated pipeline for this crash reporting. So we are using Acra. Again, Acra is Acra captures all the crashes on your devices, but what we do after the crash is really dependent upon us. So again, we should really utilize all the tools we have. So we thought, why not use GitHub and its APIs to actually automate all these things. So right now what we have are two things, email automation and Telegram automation, bot automation. So as soon as user faces an issue, faces a crash, I do have a demo to show. So right now I just have placed a bug here myself. So if I press on this home button, the user application crashes. So we are showing a neat UI to the user that, okay, this application has crashed and this is the stack trace. Now, I am not sure if you would have heard about NewPipe. There's an app that does this same thing. Now, what we do after this is fascinating. The user can either report it on Telegram or report it via email, right? Again, we have automated it. So as soon as user reports through email or Telegram, there is a API function that is running. It actually goes through all the issues on our GitHub repository. It tries to find if someone has already reported it, and if someone has not reported it, it will create a new issue. Otherwise, it will it will revert to the user saying that this issue will already exist, and you can actually track it with this link. So if I want to show, this is the bot that we have. This is the crash report. Again, so the user sends the crash report here. This is all the details saying that, okay, what is the app version, what is the OS, what is their device model, and the bot only reverts back saying that this issue is created and you can track it here. It will direct us to the issue number, and this issue is automatically created by our GitHub automation bot, right? And it is again marked with either Telegram or email. This also helps us to find out the outliers. So say if someone is using an unofficial version of our app, they would have a different version. Say they would have some 59 version, some random version. So the bot will identify that and say that, okay, this is not an official version. You should download this official version from here, right? Same goes for the email. If someone decides to report the crash through email, okay, I think I already had sent that. Yeah, so the bot again will, so there's a webhook running. Again, the services are provided by the email services provided. We are using SendGrid. Again, it provides to open source software at free of cost. So the webhook will identify the existing issue, and then it will revert back whether the issue exists or not. So it will give me a neat template saying that, hi, able to issue using this link. So I strongly feel that the after sale support is really important in the part of success, making your application successful. So both of these bots and the automation tool is open source on our repository. You can go through it. It has all the things are configurable. You can configure it for your repository as in the form of environment variables. Okay, I think we are almost done. Now this is, we as a developer don't want to deal with arrangements. I mean, we want to develop all day long, but I mean, honestly, this is a drag to deal with. But even then, if someone else is making money from our software, our hardware, we should actually work upon it. So me personally, we have already dealt of apps that actually copies our work, places ads on them, places pop-ups on them, and then selling it on Play Store. Team is really helpful in that case. They do handle the copyright infringements. They ban their accounts, they ban the apps as soon as we report it to them. But yeah, we should be open to reporting such issues. And yeah, again, like I demoed just now, our bot automation and also helps us find the outliers that we are able to feedback to the user, stop using I mean, yeah, it is well known that open source is like really it can be really challenging task to generate revenue out of open source project. But yeah, there are ways, and yeah, it really does work out if you plan it really well. Again, if your open source software is really stands out, then yeah, people will donate to you, they will sponsor your work, they will subscribe to your work. These days, Play Store provides a subscription model as well. So yeah, you can accept subscriptions. You if you can decide to work on plugins that you can make paid, or you can take feature requests, take money and for the feature requests as well. So these I do feel that yeah, these things really work out. Again, if you want to generate revenue from manufacturers, that is also possible. In the past, many manufacturers have contacted me. I think I cannot name them, but yeah, so they want to include our open source project in their mobile devices. So they do come up with requirements. They want some changes somewhere, and if you are able to give it to them, then yeah, they are happy to pay you. You can take part in hackathons. Then there's one fascinating open core model. I haven't used it personally, but I just read it a few days back. So it's basically like you make your product open source, but you make the plugging part of it closed source. So say if some organization want to use your open source project, they can be able to, but if they want to make it production ready, those parts are closed source. So if they want to make production ready, they have to pay you some amount of money. Again, yeah, I do believe this can really work. I haven't used it personally, but yeah, this is really a fascinating part. Yeah, I'm sorry, I really tried to quickly finish it at the end, but yeah, if someone has any questions, otherwise, yeah, that's it from my side.
You are now unmuted.
Mhm.
No, I'm sorted.
Okay, thanks, Ant. So, anyone?
I work on this in my part-time, in my free time, on weekends. But yeah, it's I do feel it since my project is like file manager project, is it really there are no servers, or you can say there are no resources, very less resources involved. So whatever we earn, we that's 100% profit for us.
Hi, Vishal. I have one more question. So you mentioned thing why there is a report back saying that curious to that how we use the GitHub API and how does it compare it with the
Yeah,
previous?
definitely it does use GitHub APIs. That's why I stressed upon the part that while deciding your platform for distribution, you should actually look for some platform that actually supports webhooks and API automation. So in my case, it actually goes through each page of the issues, and it's a bit complicated, but it will try to clear the crash reports. It will try to pick up first two lines and then compare that. Okay, this issue, this crash is pointing to a specific existing issue, existing line of code. The line of code is matching or not. and then it will decide that, yeah, whether this exists or not. Basically, it's GitHub APIs. They're publicly documented. You can easily find them. But the challenging part was the authentication. The bot is creating an issue for your repository, right? So you should be able to deal with authentication tokens. So the bot actually does it for you. You just so the bot GitHub app follows you just have to configure it and it will generate the
That's very interesting. Huh?
sure.
So I have another question. So how
Mhm.
do you like what are your team size and how do you manage because in any Android apps like I saw you have like million plus downloads on Play
Mhm.
Store. So how do
Mhm.
you handle those queries, those let's say some issues or bugs whichever are getting reported?
Yeah, that's the yeah, it can be pretty overwhelming at times. I mean, there has been times when we actually uh, exceed our quota. So I said, right, we do accept crash reports, but as soon as we are releasing a new version, so we have a specific quota of 100
You are
emails
now
per day.
muted.
So at times we can have more than 100 emails in a day of users saying that, okay, the application is crashing. So yeah, it can get overwhelming, but yeah, team size is, I think we are five. But yeah, yeah, we do try to manage these milestones, make the bug fix, and we give fixes if there are big issues with some release.
Okay. So I had another question earlier. So I mean, since you are working on a project, so you want more adoption, right?
You are
Vishal,
muted. You are muted,
You
Vishal.
are now unmuted.
Okay, sorry. So I was having this. I asked this question like before this talk was started, that you are working on a project and you want more adoption, right, with time. So
Uh-huh.
how do you like see yourself competing with projects like Google's own file manager and different other with ads, and then how do you want to like
Uh,
competition? I'm talking about the competition. Yeah.
so your app, you should be updated with whatever providing. So in my case, providing compression of files is allowing user to encrypt their files. So yeah, we have those features in our file manager. Uh, how do we stand out? I think the reporting platform that we do have a Telegram channel as well. So it is like real time reporting, you can say. If someone has any query, the bot is there to to help them. Even if the bot is not able to help them, the 4 or 5 people of our team are spread throughout the different time zones. Someone is already always there to answer their queries.
Okay.
So I as support, yeah, users are going to stay there even
Okay. Cool. No. So the reason I asked this question, that
hey,
for example
sorry, is
there
the
are,
voice breaking?
yeah, I mean I actually faced that. I thought it's only for me, the breaking voice.
Okay, now it's fine. It's fine, Vishal. Please go ahead.
Okay. So just give me a second. YouTube is okay. I think there is an issue with YouTube not receiving video enough to maintain smooth streaming. Okay, so I was asking this. The reason I asked this question is there are lots
Mm-hmm.
of quality project out there, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
have a team who actually or marketing team who can actually make
Mm-hmm.
sure that like even though you have good features,
Mm-hmm.
that's one part that the software development that's the you gather requirements. I mean some features that feedback from the user and then you build it, but I mean, do you have a or any quality projects which are out there? They if they want more adoption, they want to have a marketing team. So I mean, I'm just asking, broader than the software development, but like how do you see that people will start? Okay, the actually, idea is actually I want more people to use let's say
Mm-hmm.
Amaze File Manager. So how would you go? How do you just go the
Yeah,
organic way which is
marketing is
currently?
marketing is yeah definitely an important aspect, but uh, yeah, again
You are
the
now
open
muted.
source for open source projects it can be challenging since we don't have a marketing team. But I do feel that we should have a good presence on forums and different news outlets. Actually, if you go out there and Google, it would be top of the list because it is news outlets were actually told that please review it. People are using it. People are discussing about it on forums, Reddit, XDA. So I do feel that for being an open source project, and if it is good at it, then it's definitely going to be used by the masses. And yeah, having a marketing team a lot, but if for open source project, I with doing the marketing for you.
Cool, cool. Thanks.
Vishal, you're on mute. Are you?
Oh,
You are
oh,
now
I said
unmuted.
thanks. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So the reason
Okay,
I'm
no
muting is there
issues.
is so much noise nearby my window, and I'm not
Mhm.
in working from the space like I work, but so I thought, okay, cool. Thanks. That answered my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Amit in comments section comments the same thing. So yeah, if we are responsive to teachers, yeah, that itself is
What motivated you in to start this project, like back in 2013, 2014?
oh yeah. So basically I started working. I'm pretty sure many of you would have heard about custom ROMs and so basically I bought my first Android device in 2011 and I had a choice to choose between Symbian and Android and somehow by I don't know what came into my mind I chose Android and never looked back. I started working on kernel development and those things, but later I switched on to application development. So while I was working on kernels and custom ROMs, the most important part was the file manager. You needed a file manager which could do the advanced things for you, like gaining root access and doing all the permission things. The offerings that were there in the market, I think it was root access, the UI of it could say, why not build a software for the community that has actually a good UI that can actually be used by the normal user as well as the advanced power users. That's pretty much the reason I started working on Amaze File Manager, and my main focus area uh, was developing a good UI and material design and modern looking UI along with the advanced features.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question, Vishal.
Hi. Sure.
Yeah, hi. So I can see in Play Store like about the features of Amaze, right? You mentioned Root Explorer for advanced users. So
Mhm.
do you allow that without rooting the phone? I'm just curious to know.
No, actually, you have to root your phone to use these advanced features. Routing is something like out of stock for out of scope for third-party applications. So if you are installing an application on your mobile phone, it cannot do the routing for you. You have to perform certain extra functionality to achieve.
All right, thank you.
Does
And
that
one more
does Mhm.
question. Yeah, yes, thank you. So one more question is, so do we have any open source software for allowing push notifications in
That's an
mobile?
actually. Mhm. I was actually thinking about it last night. I actually never actually had to deal with it, so I never really explored that part. But I don't think if we really want to, then yeah, it's not really difficult to build. Uh, there are free services, free servers. I think Heroku also provide. Then we have. Uh, so I think it is doable, but right now I am actually not sure if there is a solution out there for push notifications or not.
All right, Vishal. And my last question would be,
Mhm.
like you said, you're using uh, open source email client, right? I missed the name. You said it, but I missed it. Can you please come again?
So the client is SendGrid. Okay, so I was actually supposed to cover that part. So it actually also allows you to send out the OTPs as well as I am not sure if I will be able to sign in and show you the dash. It has a two-factor authentication. But yeah, it allows you to send the OTPs as well as send you the emails. It has webhooks as well. So if someone is sending an email to your company, to your registered email ID, then it will capture that and call the APIs of your choice. And if you want to build an authentication mechanism, you can actually send out OTPs to mobile devices. So it does have a limit, I think 100 emails a day. Yeah, you can use it for free if your project is open source.
Mm, thank you. Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you.
Sure, no issues.
You are now
Thanks,
unmuted.
Brinda, for the question. We have a new member, whether they have not joined with the mic, but in case you have some question, you can even type, or if there is no question anymore, we'll actually you know end this call.
So, Vishal, I mean, did I stretch it little or
Just give me a second. We
current?
can discuss this once I end the meeting. Uh,
Okay, sure, fine.
yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining.
Um,
Yeah, we have
hey,
a.
hey guys, I have a question. So, Vishal, how do you see
You are now
future
muted.
like next year? Like, are you actively working on it? Do you think this will be a focus for you? Do you want it to evolve into something, or this is more like
So, mhm,
a thing that you're happy with and just want to showcase?
mhm. Yeah, definitely. I am working on a few plugins for Amaze. So I do feel that these are the basic utilities for us, like this file manager, music player. At least we should have these as free without any ads for our mobile devices. So I think there is already a few music players out there that are open source. Uh, Again, file manager is open source. So yeah, I do have plans to work on many other basic utilities. as a part of Team Amaze only. And I am working on plugins that will be paid. So using those plugins will be on top of Amaze File Manager only. And we are actively working on fixing the bugs for Amaze as well. So yeah, it's in active development as of now.
You are now unmuted.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Thanks, Anand.
Okay, so we have one chat. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks,
So
Amit.
yeah, in case we don't have any more question for Vishal, we'll end this call. And thanks everyone for joining from Big Blue Button and YouTube. Um, and the hackathon is happening next Saturday, Sunday. So do join, do participate. We have a huge amount to support your fund fast projects. Like total of 10 lakh in cash, and we have a separate Telegram group in case you are not aware. Costa is sharing the link, so please register. And Costa will also share the Telegram link of FOSS Hack. So yes, thanks again, Vishal. Thanks. It was nice hearing your story and the open source in mobile application space. We'll have
Thank you, Vishal.
more
Mhm.
talk coming in, and for the folks here, like we have more talks coming Saturday, Sunday, and we'll also have some other talks events happening this week, next week from Monday to Saturday till Friday. Uh, if anybody have any feedback or something to share, please go ahead, or I'll end the you know call from the YouTube for now. Okay, we are not live on YouTube.